Hello, everyone. I'm super excited today to introduce a good friend of mine and my old boss, actually, John Garner. Welcome.
Hey Gabe, good to see you.
Good to see you today. Thanks for joining us. I appreciate you being here. So John and I have known each other literally for 10 years now, actually. I think that's when you and I were working
That's
at
right.
Lending Home together and had a great run there. But John has started a company and a co-founder of Freemodel, correct?
That's right. We started
And
Freemodel about 5 years ago.
5 years ago. Okay.
That's right.
So John started Freemodel about 5 years ago, and I'm going to let John introduce himself and what that means. But we have recently created a partnership between our company and Freemodel that we're going to be talking about today and what that looks like for our clients. But before we do that, John, why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself and about Freemodel and some of that background?
Sure. So actually, the reason we started Freemodel actually came out of Lending Home because we were, as you know, Gabe, working with lots of house flippers in that era. And we saw firsthand how house flippers were taking advantage of homeowners who had a home that was a little bit in disrepair and didn't have a lot of options. And so they were buying those homes at a very steep discount and then fixing them up and selling them and keeping all the profit. And basically we realized, hey, homeowners are the ones who own that asset. They are the ones that should benefit from any asset improvement. And so we set out to kind of right a wrong in the industry by helping homeowners essentially flip their own homes when they were selling them. And so we've been doing it now for 5 years. And a few of our kind of top line numbers are in the last 5 years, we have helped our homeowners earn over $100 million of additional profit. That's net of our costs.
That's amazing.
With zero upfront investment, literally not a penny out of pocket. And that is on about just over $1 billion in real estate sales. So the one thing we know is we know that doing pre-sales renovations massively improves the value of the home. We know that homeowners like selling their homes for more and making more money. And we have a whole bunch of agent partners who recommend us to their sellers, and we're now kind of a booming business.
That's amazing. Congratulations, first of all.
Thank you.
That is awesome. And I've been following you guys and your story now for the last couple of years. And again, super excited. So let's break that down a little bit. So when you say pre-sales renovation and you say zero out-of-pocket expense, so what you're talking about is, historically speaking at least, you're talking about someone who is interested in selling their home, but in the current state of that home, it may not sell for top dollar, correct?
Right. That's right.
And so you've now gone in with a realtor partner, a real estate company that says, hey, John, if we can do I'm going to make up a number, $50,000 rehab on this home, we can then sell that client's home for $100,000 more after the remodel. Is that generally speaking what you're talking about?
That's exactly right. Yep. So usually in our situations, the homeowner either doesn't have the knowledge or the skill or sometimes the capital to be able to make those repairs. I think everybody knows that the home is going to sell for more if you can make the repairs, but again, they don't have the will, skill, or capital to do it themselves. And so that's where we come in. Freemodel shows up, we walk the property with the agent and the homeowner. We strategize on what's necessary to optimize the value. The Freemodel uses local project directors who are local to the area, have local subs that they partner with, who know what the local area tastes are, and more importantly, have the resources, the skill, and the Freemodel, the capital to do the job. So then they draft a scope of work. They propose it to the homeowner. The agent recommends, the agent tells us what they believe the lifted value will be. So like, I'll give you a scenario. So a typical scenario might be the agent says, hey, this is $1 million home, but if we were able to redo the kitchen and 2 bathrooms, I can get $1.2 million for it. Then we'll say, great, we'll make sure that we budget no more than, say, $75,000 for that project so that homeowner can walk away with $125K of additional profit. And then once we sign a contract, with the project director will then hire the subs, buy the materials. We manage the job from beginning to end. The homeowner literally does nothing. pays nothing up front. We keep them informed as to what's going on. Then we deliver the home to the agent, cleaned, renovated, cleaned, and staged, ready to go. The agent sells the home for more. The homeowner keeps all the profit, and then we get paid out of escrow. So literally, the homeowner literally never pays us technically because we get paid out of the additional proceeds. So that's where the name Freemodel came from.
I love it. That's amazing. And by the way, I do a weekly real estate market blog and update. And this morning in my blog, I actually wrote that this is a very finicky real estate market right now. Buyers are very picky, very finicky. And yet, if you've got a well-priced home in move-in condition in a good neighborhood, those homes are selling very nicely and very quickly.
Yeah.
But if your home needs work, it may not be selling quickly or at all. So what you're talking about resonates, because I think not only is it helping when you say a lift in value, meaning you're targeting for that client, that seller, a higher sales price, but it also has been proven that it has more certainty of sale as well, versus if they don't do a renovation prior to sell, correct?
Yeah. All of our homes sell. We never have we have zero homes sit on the market because they're beautiful and ready to go.
Yeah.
And the other interesting thing is all of our homes have a positive ROI. On average, we increase the sales price by 19%. And on the total dollars perspective, we are helping. Our average job is about $80,000, and our average homeowner profit is $150,000 net. So they're making more than 2x our spend, and actually their return is technically infinite because they didn't put up a dime. So we know the program works.
Sure, that's amazing. So I want to transition here because one of the things you said is every single one of your homes sells, meaning that you have not done this once and the home hasn't sold. However, what you and I are here to really talk about today is actually utilizing this program for folks who don't want to sell. And because we know this model works, and because we know that homeowners love this because they've got zero upfront out-of-pocket expense, I'm excited really to share this partnership with the world of what we're really looking at doing. And yes, it is new, but it is a proven model that you guys have proven. And by the way, how many projects, if you know unit count roughly, that you guys have completed successfully so far?
We have closed about 750 projects, and and of those, about 500 have sold. So the other 250 are in some stage of either just being closed or still on the market.
Got it. So completed 750 renovations ultimately. And with that being said, you've got obviously a ton of experience at this point. You're currently operating in 3 states with many more to come, I know, in the future. But California, Texas, and Florida, is that correct?
That's right.
Okay. But again, excited to know that you guys will be expanding at some point. But to be clear, just California, Texas, and Florida so far. So let's talk about what you and I have really been building a model around, which is this whole idea of aging in place, right? We know that roughly 83% of seniors prefer to age in place in their own homes. And yet, most of the homes are not appropriate for aging in place. So there's a disconnect. And whether that means they're not set up for handicap accessibility, or whether there aren't grab bars, or whether there's deferred maintenance, or whether there's health and safety concerns, you name it, right? Or whether there's no main floor master bedroom, or primary bedroom rather. And so that's where I think this whole partnership with our company, One Trust Home Loans, and the family of companies, and Freemodel comes into play, is because now we're really able to offer the Freemodel program to homeowners that aren't looking at selling, but are looking at taking advantage of the free model program to be able to do a renovation and not have to sell the house when the renovation is done. Yeah?
Yeah, that's right. And I would say the one thing that I think that's the kind of simplest way to think about it is, whereas today we talk about our business as a pre-sales renovation, really you can think about it as a pre-transaction renovation. Really, and that pre-transaction can be pre-mortgage, right? Because when you're doing a transaction, the value of your house matters, right? And so, especially in the case of a mortgage, whether it's a reverse mortgage or a traditional mortgage, your mortgage broker is going to go assess the value of that property, and that's going to establish how much you can borrow and potentially what rate you can borrow at, depending on the relative loan to value, right? And so it's always going to behoove you to improve the value of your house before you get a mortgage, whether traditional or renovation or reverse, to get those benefits.
Absolutely. So you hit the nail on the head on a couple things. Number one, the value is critically important when it comes to loan terms. So amount of money that one is accessible, that a homeowner has access to, and potentially the interest rate and loan terms when you're considering a traditional mortgage. Not as much on a reverse mortgage necessarily, but on a traditional mortgage. And so what I find fascinating is, for our audience here, you and I started this conversation a couple months back exclusively for reverse mortgages and for folks that want to age in place. But yet we've also identified that this can absolutely be used with a traditional mortgage. And there's a lot of use cases there where if you just take as an example a $500,000 home where someone doesn't have a significant amount of equity, but that home needs some work, right? Whether they just purchased it or they've been in it a couple years, that they can't potentially even get a cash out refinance or get a home equity line of credit to cover the cost of a remodel. But yet, if they came in and partnered with Freemodel, and let's just say they did a $50,000 rehab, and that valuation after rehab pushes the home value to 600, let's just say, all of a sudden, because of the bump in value, they're able to access more money as well. So I think it's absolutely fascinating with a ton of different use cases, again, in the traditional mortgage space. But let's again go back to the reverse mortgage real fast and let's just walk through the process for folks so they have a clear understanding. Okay. Sure. So again, typical client, 62 years of age or older, okay, individual or married couple, owns their home, has a significant amount of equity, and wants to age in place.
Yep.
Right? They come to me or you, and they want to get a reverse mortgage and or they want to do a renovation. Right? So we sit down, we look at the current home's value, and we determine based on the current home's value and qualifications, how much money they could qualify for. Then after that, we send them over to Freemodel and talk to me about what Freemodel will do in regards to developing a scope of work and a budget.
Right. So based on the fact that you bring us a qualified borrower, we know for a fact that they're going to be able to fund the project. So we feel good about working with them right away. We're going to do effectively the same process we would in any pre-sale renovation, which is we're going to go to the property, we're going to visit with the homeowner. There won't be an agent involved, of course. In this case, we're going to ask that homeowner what they want to do in terms of both just home improvement for quality of life, but also in this case, home improvement for aging in place. So that might be safety bars or walk-in tubs, those kinds of things. We're then going to deliver that scope of work. We're going to be keeping in mind how much capital they have to work with. So we're going to be aware of their budget constraints and make sure that we stay within those. And then we're going to, once we establish that scope of work, we get the homeowner to buy off on it. Yep, that's the scope of work I want. Great. Then we hand that back to you and say, here's our expected scope of work. The homeowners approved it, and then you're going to then continue on with your process.
Awesome. So this is a new twist that I love, and that is that once Freemodel's done with everything that you just talked about, and we sit down and we got a commitment from the client to move forward, an application and all that, we're going to do a two-part appraisal. And this is really interesting because this has currently been done for many, many years with FHA 203K rehab loans. And what that is again, a loan in which you can get funds for rehab. But what's happening is the appraiser is giving two valuations. They're giving what's called the as-is value today before any renovations are done. And then based on the scope of work, they're also going to give us a projected future value after the rehab is done. So what that's going to allow us to do is that, one, we're validating what the current market value is, right? But when we give the appraiser the Freemodel scope of work and budget, the appraiser is validating as opposed to speculating from what the market's going to potentially value the home for in the future. But the appraiser, who's a licensed appraiser, is actually giving us their opinion of value after the remodel's done. And so with that future valuation, we can give absolute clarity and certainty to the client and to Freemodel to say, okay, if you do this remodel and you stick to the scope of work and this budget, we will confidently and certainly be able to get you the funds necessary to pay back the contract in full for Freemodel when that's done and we close the reverse mortgage. Did I say that?
That's exactly right. And what's beautiful for us is it makes it far easier because today, when we go to market with a pre-sales renovation, we don't know what the home's going to sell for, right?
Sure.
And so in this case, we know exactly what the home is effectively going to transact at because that's been established by your valuation. So it's very easy for us to confidently then sign our contract with the homeowner. And then what we do is we then execute the project. Freemodel is going to pay for all the materials, all the labor, again, $0 out of the homeowner's pocket, $0 out of OneTrust pocket at this time, right? So we front 100% of all the dollars. Once the job is done and the homeowner is signed off, job complete, we then provide a seller's, a refinancer's escrow demand letter to escrow. And then when you guys fund the loan during that transaction, escrow pays Freemodel and we're all set.
It's fantastic. So to be clear on a couple things, there is zero upfront cost from the client to Freemodel.
Correct.
There is zero interest on this because it's not a loan.
That's right.
This is a contract.
That's right.
And there is for lack of better terms, maybe you can tell me what it is, but a management fee. Is that what you guys call it to manage the project?
We're a general contractor, right? So we mark up our costs just like any other general contractor. The difference is we also defer our payment until such time as either the home sells or in this case, the home is refinanced.
Fantastic. So again, zero interest. There's a
zero
overhead
interest,
profit.
Zero hidden fees.
Yep. Zero hidden fees. But I do want to be clear. There's one upfront cost with all reverse mortgages, and that is roughly $150 for what's called the required counseling that any borrower must go through before we ultimately do the appraisal. So I just want to be clear that it's a nominal fee, but it's about $150 that when we go through the process with the application and doc gathering and qualification, the client is responsible, the homeowner is responsible to do that counseling. But that is it. I mean, really, $150 to go through this whole process. And then when all's said and done, if all goes well, the remodel is done by Freemodel. We again do what's called a 1004D, which is a after rehab valuation, if you will. Okay. So when you're done with your scope of work, we'll send the appraiser back out there to take pictures and validate that pre-remodel appraisal and that valuation, now the post-remodel home is done to that scope of work. right? And it's sort of a check the box, if you will, but it is a quality control metric that we do. And so the appraiser does that, sends it to us. And then at that point, we'll be able to pay any liens off on title to include the free model contract and get that wrapped up. So I love it. I think this is fantastic.
Yeah, it's a great, I mean, it's a great program. It's surprising that this hasn't sort of taken off in the past. But I think Freemodel is relatively new to the market. And I think making this connection between how we offer our services and how you guys offer your services is just a natural fit that we were fortunate to discover.
I agree 100%. And I'm excited to really roll this out. And again, as we are limited, for lack of better terms, right now to just California and Texas and Florida, for our listeners in those states, give us a call if you've got questions, you want to evaluate this. And if you're in another state outside of those three, give us a call as well, just to show us your interest so we can have a conversation and really just share this and educate folks. Not yet available, but we're excited to hopefully roll this out here in the near future. So with that, John, any other additional last minute thoughts or comments that we haven't covered? Maybe you want to share?
No, I think I just summarized by saying, the great thing about this program is you're able to increase the value of your home to maximize your either traditional mortgage or reverse mortgage. You're able to live in a home that you love, right?
Yeah.
I can't tell you the number of homes we get from folks that have passed and their home is pretty dilapidated. They've sort of lived the last years of their lives in a less than comfortable home. You get to spend your golden years in a home that you love. That's safer for you as an older person, and you're going to pass along an asset to your children that's actually going to be worth more. And when they sell it in the future, it's going to get more on the market because it's been renovated, right? So it's a win-win-win for you and your heirs for during your life and then after you pass the home to your kids.
Those are great points. And with that being said, I don't want to really kind of glance over too much the value to the client, right? This is not a pre-sale, sell your house for more money, make more money. This is truly a solution for folks who, again, want to be in their home. And what I always struggle with in this space is seeing folks prepare their homes for sale and their home looks the best, right, when they sell the house, and they kick themselves and say, I wish I would have done that, 2, 5, 10, 20 years ago because it looks so good now, right?
That's right. We get that all the time.
I'm sure you do. And so this is an opportunity to do the work that you deserve, right? Do it for yourself so that you can live more happily, more comfortably, and truthfully, more safely. Because that's an ongoing challenge that we have in our country right now with, homes not being safe for people to age in. And so this is a fantastic product. It's a fantastic solution. And I appreciate you being here, John. I appreciate your what you guys are doing, and congratulations to you and Freemodel already for the success that you've seen.
Well, thank you, Gabe. It's great to partner with you, and we can't wait to keep going with OneTrust.
Sounds great. Well, again, thanks, and we look forward to continuing to grow this and expand this across the country here soon.
Okay, see you.
All right, take care.